Okay, I'm saying a few things, testing the audio, testing the audio, testing the audio. Okay, looks like we're good.
It's all late. I mean,
Hey guys, we'll get started in about 4 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be good today. Got a lot to talk about. Let me just grab one more cup of coffee. Get some coffee, Ben. Okay, 2 minutes to go. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, I'm saying a few things, testing the audio, testing the audio, testing the audio. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay, let's get it on. Good morning, guys. My name is Scott Phillips, and let's kick off the webinar for today. So today's webinar is about going pro. So it's about bridging the trading skill gap between maybe knowing the rules of some of my systems or anyone's systems and being able to execute them perfectly. And so what you're going to learn today, you're going to learn a complete understanding of the skills and the knowledge you're going to need to make it as a pro trader. And I'm going to show you a step-by-step process, which is actually the process that I use for evaluating your skills and building them up in the areas where you currently fall short. And what you're also going to see today is me demonstrate and teach the exact system that Daniel and I trained on, that I used to train our mentorship group. I'm going to show you the whole thing, the money management, the trade management, the stops, the targets, the whole shebang. I'm going to show you a systematic plan for gaining skill in trading that system or even in a different system. Also, if you stay to the end, I'll be offering an amazing deal on the System Building Masterclass, which is going to make the learning process a whole lot easier. And we'll also be taking applications for a handful of people to work one-on-one with me for 3 months of intensive learning, starting in our March intake of the mentorship group. We've had just mind-blowingly good results with the mentorship group so far. They've gone from honestly not really knowing that much to being really stone cold pros in a very short period of time, and I think it's a great process. So the marketing guy that I get to help me with this stuff said that I need to give you an ethical bribe. So if you stay to the webinar, I'll give you the PDF document of this webinar so you don't have to take notes. So what I recommend, the way that I recommend doing this is that you don't take too many notes. You're going to get this PDF at the end. It's going to make it all clear. You just go back and watch the video again with it. So I speak really quickly and I don't want you to miss details. Do me a favor, turn off your mobile phones and your Facebook and your Skype and all that other distraction stuff. We perform better when we concentrate on this. And so who is Scott Phillips? Who am I? So usually in these webinars, I list my accomplishments and my mentors and who I learned from and what I know, and I hate all that boastful stuff. It's just nonsense. We haven't got time for that today. We've got a really, really full lot of learning to do. So let's just dive straight into it. Now, trading isn't a story; it's a skill, and either you can do it or you can't. And I can do it, and I'm going to show you. Simple as that. So the 3 secrets from today's webinar is the most important one is that reading charts is just one of a lot of skills you need. So reading charts is it's a perfectly fun skill and it's a useful skill. It's not the be all and end all. If that's all you know, you don't know enough. Number 2, without authentic skill in executing a system, there's really very little chance that you'll be able to do it for real. And what I mean is that a lot of us have the experience of going to a workshop, learning a system or buying a system off someone, thinking this system looks good, sitting down and being able to do it, and inexplicably making mistakes or inexplicably having results which don't match what the guy who sold you the system got. Now, the shortcut here, the 3rd secret is that there's a shortcut, and the shortcut is to get a mentor who has the exact results you want to achieve and a proven track record of getting them for other people. And we're going to talk about that later once I've shown you the system. So today I'm showing you the exact step-by-step process I personally use to build world-class skill in the mentorship group. And there's obviously many ways to get this skill. This isn't the only way. This is just the way that I do it. And I think it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, I've known thousands and thousands of traders, and some successful and some unsuccessful. And many of the pitfalls that we all consider a rite of passage don't give us much experience at all. Like almost everyone has funded an account and felt the inexplicable need to make a trade straight away. Almost everyone's been stuck in a trade and stayed up all night hoping that it's going to come good. Almost everyone's cancelled a stop loss and lost a big chunk of their account. You don't need to get trapped in the trade and wiped out to understand that it's a bad thing. You don't need to trade a system that's actually not an edge to understand that that's a bad idea. And you ought to be able to make a reasonable assessment of your odds of success before you start. And the upshot of that is that you should, if you're sensible about going about trading, you should not be trading for real until you're absolutely certain that you're going to make money. You know, one of the things that happens to us when we lose a lot of money early is sometimes we become traumatized and patterned to that loss, and it becomes very hard to become a good trader after that. And sometimes traumatic experiences, they just leave us with trauma. You know, so if I let a stranger come and punch me in the face, there's an experience to that, but it's not a learning experience. It's just someone punching me in the face. And losing at trading gives us some experience. It makes us greedy to make it back. It makes us fearful of further losses. It inhibits our growth as traders. And the worst thing is that some small bad trading, it can set off a pattern of bad trading, which is really, really hard to stop. Like once I start trading badly, it's really very difficult to stop trading badly. It's weird. And none of this is helpful at all to us. The rule number one, don't lose money. So you're going to face drawdowns in your trading career. Like we all do. I get drawdowns all the time. You know, and many of my drawdowns have been awful experiences. Don't worry, that's all waiting for you. But there's absolutely no need to fund an account and make a lot of moves straight away. And that nearly always ends in disaster. A better way is to systematically build the skill you're going to need, and then you're going to develop and test a system which suits your goals and beliefs. Then we're going to implement it in a very structured way so that your odds of losing are almost nothing. So the idea is that by the time you're ready to trade for real money, you know that at the end of 100 trades, you're going to have more money than you started. Now, it might not be trade 1 or trade 2 or even trade 10, but after 100 trades, you know you're going to be good. So when you strip the crap out of what we're doing here, we really only need two things, admittedly with many parts. The first thing is a system with an edge that suits you. And, you know, I'm showing you a system today. There's plenty of systems in the System Building Masterclass. I show different systems in all these webinars. You need to find one that suits you. And number two is you need to have the skill to trade that system perfectly. And this is what we're about today. We're talking about how do I get the skill to trade that system perfectly? Because if you've been to one of my webinars before and you've learned a system and thought that system looks cool and you're not making money from it today, there's obviously some disconnect there. There's obviously something that you're missing that has stopped you from taking action with that system and stopped you from making money out of it. So knowledge is useless if you can't apply it. And most of you are familiar with the System Building Masterclass, its library of trading systems, or at the very least, the setups that I talk about in my emails, which I'll be teaching you today as well. And if you're serious about system trading, you're gonna ultimately need and want that. And I'll be offering you a special deal on it today. But that's not what today's webinar is about. Today, we're talking about bridging the skill gap and not the knowledge gap. So knowledge and skill are two very different things. So let's talk about systematic skill development. And you can build this skill by just messing around for a decade. Just, you know, fund an account, take a lot of trades, 1,000 trades later, you'll probably know what you're doing. And, you know, many people have developed skill that way just by messing around for a long time. But the problem with that is that you're liable to lose a lot of money while you're doing it. You're liable to make mistakes that are going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars per mistake. You know, some of us have made mistakes that cost us over 100 grand. I certainly have. And it would have been nice if those mistakes didn't give me 100 grand worth of learning. You know, they gave me some learning, but not 100 grand worth. You know, so there's a better way. You can learn as much as a hobbyist can in a decade in about 2 months of really structured, focused practice. And efficient learning in any field, if you're learning chess or if you're learning martial arts or if you're learning theoretical physics, it's always the same. It's always about being challenged but not overwhelmed while remaining intensely focused on the task. And intensely focused on the task is, you know, concentrating like a surgeon. You're not just mucking around with the charts open all day while you yak on Facebook and you know and Google for news. You're actually doing what you sat down to do. You're sitting down to trade and you're doing it in a perfect way. So what I'm going to start with today is we're going to start with the simplest possible setup. And we're going to start with the simplest possible iteration of our system. And we're going to build on that in a systematic way. So So what we're going to do is to start with a very, very simple system, and we're going to build on it. Okay, we're going to start with the inside period setup. And we're going to exit at the end of the third period if the trade has not made 1R. We're going to place a target to exit half of our trade at 1R. And I'll show you what that means in a moment. Now, if the trade makes 1R, we're going to trail a stop at either the bar low or break even, whichever is more favorable. And I'll explain this in a moment. Now, some important fundamentals of system trading are a lot of stuff happens during the bar. This is all irrelevant. We want to wait till the bar closes and make our moves, place our orders at the bar close. So if we're trading a daily chart, we want to, it's fundamental that we're just going to get confused if we watch the chart all day. If we're trading a daily chart, we want to trade it, we want to turn that chart on just when the bar's about to roll over and place our orders right there. Same with a 5-minute chart, same with a 10-minute chart. You can drastically, and I mean drastically, improve the results of your trading by only looking at these bars at the time that you should. It's not helpful to stare at the screen, because what happens is that as soon as you start paying attention to candles that are forming, you start to wish and hope that things happen, and you start to believe that you know what's going to happen next, and you don't. Okay, so let's look at the simplest iteration of our system. Our setup bar is an inside period bar. Now, an inside period is a bar with a lower high and a higher low than the previous bars. Now, you can see this is an inside bar. This is an inside bar. It's got a lower high and a higher low. This is an inside bar. It's got a lower high and a higher low. This also is an inside bar, double inside bar, a higher low and a lower high. Okay, can everyone recognize the inside period? Okay, can everyone recognize this? This is fundamental. All right, we got this. Okay, now, we have two places that we can potentially place our stop. If we have a spike low close by, it is always preferable to place our stop loss below the previous spike low. So in this instance, if we're going long on an inside period, we wait until the price has broken the high and we go long here with a stop loss here. Okay, Mr. Funnybone. Mr. Funnybone has a question. Does it mean the wick should be high on the top? No, it doesn't. It's got nothing to do with the wick. What it means is that the high of this candle has to be lower than the high of the candle before. And at the same time, the low of this candle needs to be higher than the low of this candle before. So in other words, this candle needs to fit inside of the previous candle. This candle fits inside of the previous candle, hence the name inside bar. Okay, we cool with that? All right. So an inside bar is by definition two setups, a long and a short. So we're looking at the long here. So we wait until price has broken the high of this bar before we get long. And the way that we do that is we go long on a stop. So instead of using a stop loss, we use a stop buy. So what this does, it means that if price does not break the high, we're not in a trade. And so we don't have to screen watch, we don't have to sit waiting for something to happen, it all happens automatically. So the simplest iteration of our system, go long on a break of this line with a stop loss here. Now, let's not overcomplicate it at first. We're not going to fill out any of the spreadsheets or place any actual orders yet. What we're going to do is we're going to systematically stack that difficulty on later when we can do the basic task. So we're going to start with the simple thing and then build more difficult. So step one, recognize the setup. And any inside period is by definition two setups, one long one short. If price breaks the low of this bar, we're going to go short. Price breaks the high of this bar, like it did here, we're going to go long. At the same time as we are filled here, we place an order at a 1R target, which is here, to exit half the position at a 1R target. Okay, so everyone's got that. We go long, stop loss here, exit half the position here. Okay, everyone got the target. Okay, so let's look at the short setup. Now, the short setup and the long setup are completely independent. So you can be long and still take a short setup, and they run completely independent. Now, where do we place our stop loss for the short setup? We place it at the nearest spike high, but there is no nearest spike high. So because there's no nearest spike high, there's no close by spike high, we place our stop loss one tick above the setup bar, which is here. So we're going to sell trigger if it drops below here, place a stop loss here, but that never happened. Now, this is key to understand, is that we're placing a lot of orders that never fill, because I don't want to get short unless the market is actually dropping. I don't want to be long unless the market is actually rising. And this is where a significant proportion of our edge comes from. It doesn't come from some sort of white man magic. It comes from the simple fact that the market is strong enough that it breaks the candle high, and the market is weak enough that it breaks the candle low. And David, to answer your question, 1R target does equal stop loss distance in ticks. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let's look at our trade management rules. Now, the important thing to notice about this system, and the reason why I'm using this system as a learning vehicle, is that it's absolutely black and white. There's if I trade this system and you trade the system, and if we're both trading the system, we should get exactly the same results. So when I trade with the mentorship group, we load up our spreadsheets and we go, well, we all should have made the same amount of money. And if we don't, if one guy's made more money than us, then even though he's made more money, he's wrong. You know, or the rest of us are wrong. So everyone should get exactly the same results. I've automated the system. You should get exactly the same results as the automated system. So rule number one, we have 3 trade management rules. Rule number one is we place a limit order to exit half the position at 1R. And 1R is, as David says, the distance in ticks from your entry price to your stop loss. Now, if the trade has not made at least 1R by the close of the third period, so you have 3 bars after entry to make 1R. If it has not made 1R, then we exit the trade on close, win, lose, or draw. And we call this the shot clock, and it's like counting down the shot clock. Now, this might seem a little confusing, but I'll explain it. It's easy to see on the chart. If we are positioned and we have an additional setup in the same direction, so we're long and we have another setup, we have another long setup, we can take that extra setup and pyramid only if we've already banked partial profit and if the stop loss is better than break even. So we can only take a new setup if we banked partial profit and our stop loss is better than break even. If we have not banked partial profit, but we get an additional setup, we reset the shot clock so that once again we have 3 periods to make 1R. And Brent, yes, 3 bars after entry bar. Okay, rule number 3 is we bank partial profits on half the position at 1R. After that, we move our stop loss to either 1 tick below the low of the most recent bar or break even, whichever shows us the most profit. Okay, and these will become very clear in a minute. So let's look at a long trade. And what I do is I have spreadsheets that do a lot of the heavy lifting for me. If I'm working out numbers in my head and carry the 1 and eventually I'm going to make mistakes. So I have a spreadsheet where I put in the trade number for the day, the time, the setup inside period, a buy or a sell. I put in the entry price and the initial stop loss, the ISL price, and the spreadsheet works out the rest of this stuff for me. So it'll tell me, oh, I'm risking 42 ticks, this is my size, and this is my 1R target. So our entry price on a stop loss is 262.50. Our stop loss is 262.08. So our risk per share is 48, and our 1R profit target is 48 plus 262.50 is 262.92. And Manish, we have to take half profit because that's the rules of the system. The idea is that we want to reduce the standard deviation of our winning trades, and the best way to reduce standard deviation of winning trades is to bank some profit. So when we don't bank profit and we rely on holding for outlier wins, we're going to get very few outlier wins, but we're going to get a lot of small wins. So what we'd rather have in a scalping system is not a system that gives us 5 losers and then a massive big winner, because you can go days without a massive big winner. What we'd rather have is a system that just steadily stacks cash all day. We're taking 5 or 6 trades a day. We're just going to steadily stack cash the whole day. Okay, so we fill out a spreadsheet. We work out where our 1R target is. How did the Excel spreadsheet calculate the tick and the size in Excel, funny bone? It just does. It's white man magic. Daniel built the spreadsheets, by the way. Okay, and these all come with the System Building Masterclass. They're really easy to use. We use them every day. They're great. Okay, so let's look at the example on the short trade. And you see we fill out our long trade here and our short trade in the next one. So our entry price is 262.19. Stop loss is 262.50. Our risk per share in ticks is 31. And our size is bigger. And our 1R target is different. So what you can see here is that our risk is different on our long trade and our short trade. So the short trade is bigger than the long trade. And this can get really confusing. Which is why you need to make your spreadsheet the primary trading platform. If you just stare at your charts, you're just going to get confused and messed up and tied up in the head. And let's absolutely, the difference between the entry and stop loss, use the ABS function. So you use ABS in brackets, one number minus another number. Good catch, Lex. Okay. So now I'm going to go through a couple of examples of this, and I'm going to show you how it works. So actually, let's start at this one. We have an inside period here. So we have no spike high to put the stop loss. So we go short if it breaks the low and long if it breaks the high. So we are immediately short. Our stop loss is here. We have our 1R target is about here. So we've hit our 1R target on the very first bar. Good trade. So what we do is we move our stop to either break even, which is 1 tick below the low of the bar, or the high of this bar. So we move our stop to break even. The next bar, we have half a position on, we bank half a profit, we bank profit on half the position. We move our stop to 1 tick above the high of this bar, which is here. The next bar, we move our stop to here. Now we've got a pretty big winner going on here. Yes, there's a gap low. And then we move our stop to here, and this bar stops us out of our trade. So let's recap that trade. We got short here, we banked partial profit here, and we banked the rest of the trade here. So we had a pretty good win. We have about a 2R win on that. Okay, everyone, can everyone see that? Can everyone follow that first trade? All right, let's look at the second one. All right, everyone's coming. Okay, the second one, we are going either long if it breaks the stop loss here, long if it breaks this price here with a stop loss here, or short if it breaks here. So we place both the long and the short entries. So what I want you to understand is that we're not guessing whether we're going long or short. I hate guessing. Guessing makes you start hoping, and hoping is for idiots. Hope is not a very effective investment strategy. All right. So in this instance, we've decided to go long if it breaks the high with a stop loss here. We've gone long. It's broken the high. We are long. Our stop loss is here. We have 3 periods to make one up. This is period 1. Period 2, we still have not made 1R. And if we look here, 1R is going to be roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1R is going to be somewhere around here. And at the end of the 3rd period, we have not made 1R, which is going to be around here somewhere. So what do? We've been in the trade for 3 bars. It hasn't made 1R. We exit the trade. So we're going to get long here, and we're going to exit this trade on period 3 right here. Okay. Can everyone get the logic behind exiting period 3? Okay. Okay, we've got some trades here. Let's go through them. So this is the first one we've been through. Actually, we went through this one as well. Here is another inside period. We're going to go long on a break of here with a stop loss here, or short on a break of here with a stop loss here, or both. Now, in this instance, we've broken the high of here. So at the end of bar 1, we are long. Our stop loss is here. We are not in profit. Here, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our 1R target is somewhere up here. So this is bar 1. This is bar 2. We're substantially in profit, but we still haven't made our profit target. And this is bar 3. We haven't made 1R, but we have made profit. We've made a little profit. So we exit at period 3. Okay. Everyone follow the P3 exit? So what I want you to understand is that we have black and white rules. There's a proper way of doing things. There's none of this, I like this one, I hate this one, I think it's going up, I think it's going down. All that stuff is just thrown aside. We just got to, your job is very, very simple. It's to be like a monkey. Luke, you need rising volatility off a low base. Extremely high volatility doesn't work well. I'm going to trade today's tape live for you in a bit, and that is, today was a Fed day, so we've got some crazy volatility. So you're going to see it in both a rising volatility and a super high and a medium. So you're going to see the difference between them. Okay, now that's a very good question from Mr. Dixon. This is an inside bar, so doesn't it reset the shot clock? It would reset the shot clock once it breaks the high of that bar. But it already hit the 3rd period before that happened. So we exit. Now, on this bar, even though we just exited the trade, we have a new trade, potentially long and potentially short. Long if it breaks the high with a stop loss here, short if it breaks the low with a stop loss here. But nothing's happened. It's done neither. It's painted a second inside bar. Now, a double inside bar is a very interesting trade. It's a much higher probability trade than an inside bar. So here we go long here, stop loss here, 1, 2, 3, and exit up here. So what have we done? We've got a big win for about 2R. We've got a small win for about a half an R. We've got a small win of about 0.2 of an R, and we've got about probably about 0.6 of an R win. So I want you to pay attention to the character of this system. We're not trying to hit 10R winners here. We're just stacking small winners all day. Stack and stack and stack. This is a scalping system. Brent, why not sell half on bar 3? That's a good question. If the market is going to do what you think it's going to do, if the market's going to fall, it should be doing it pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's just luck. If we hang around here and then it might drop dramatically later, it might not. But we're not in the business of gambling. If something hasn't done what it's supposed to, then there's a significant chance that we might be wrong. So we just cut our losses, and if we can get out with a small profit, like we have here, small profit, small profit, small profit, I'd rather take 3 small profits than wait for a massive big winner and take a massive big loss. Okay, now I'm betting this is a little bit confusing, and when we add the rest of the system setups on, it gets really hectic. I'm going to show you the full system now, which is exactly what I showed you with all the setups from Crazy Ivan's system. So the additional setups are the ones that I talk about every day. They're from the System Building Masterclass: the gap open, the inside period, the fake out, the retest variation, and the retest concept. So I don't have time today to go through the definitions of those, and that would bore the people who already know them. So Lex, how do you select the instrument like an FX pair or commodity? You need volatility rising off a low base, and I'll get to that later, and I'll show you exactly how. Okay, so I'm going to take today's tape on the SPY, which is what we use for learning, and I'm going to show you the system in full, and the full system is in the System Building Masterclass, by the way. All right, so let's look at today's SPY. Now, there's something unusual going on in the indexes today. Today was an FOMC day, and so FOMC days are unusual in that people get the tape often gets a little bit boring before the announcement is done, and then it goes crazy. Let's see how it performed. It may not have performed well. I haven't cheated. So here we have a gap open sell setup. So we place an order to go short here if price breaks the low, with a stop here. Okay, so we are short. Our stop loss is here. Period 1. Do we have a buy setup? Do we have an additional sell setup? We do not have a buy setup. We do not have a sell setup. Okay, our 1R target is here. We have banked 1R, and so we move our stop loss to here, above that bar. Do we have a buy setup? Our close here is 264.75. Our open is 264.74. So we have a gap open buy setup. So we go long if we break the high of this bar with a stop loss here. Okay. The first thing we do in any system is adjust our existing positions first. So we continue to trail this stop. Our stop loss on the existing short position is here. We banked partial profits here, and this would give us about a 0.8 R win or so. I'm going to write that down. So do we have a buy setup? We have a retest buy setup, a movement from this spike low to this spike high of 0 bars, and a movement down of 3 bars. We also have a gap open buy setup. The close here is 264.56 and the open is 264.55. So we have an open below the previous real body. So we have a long setup if we break this high. We have a short setup as well. We have a short setup as well, a failed hammer short. We break the low of here. we would go short as well on a second position. Okay, our short setup is not entered. We go long. We are long, period one, our stop loss is here. We are stopped out of our short trade. So we made about 0.8 R roughly on the short trade. We are long. Do we have a sell setup? We have a retest variation sell, a significant high, highest high in 10 bars, one or more lower closes, one or more high closes. So we would go short if we break this low. But right now we're long and we have a shooting star. If we break the high of this, we would reset the shot clock. Okay, we reset the shot clock because we've broken the high of this bar, which is a buy setup. We are period one of our long setup. Do we have a sell setup? Our close is 51, our open is 49. We do not have a sell setup there, but we do have a retest variation sell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars and no more. So if we break this low, we sell and go short at the same time as we are long. That sell setup is not entered, and we have period two of our buy setup. Have we made 1R? Our high is 264.55 and our low is 264.25, so that's 32 plus 55 is 87, and our high here is 92. So we have made 1R. We made 1R just here. And so what do? We can either place our trailing stop at the one tick below the low of this bar, or our entry price. And if you can see, our entry price is slightly better than the low of this bar. So we place our stop loss at break even, which is about here. So we are long. Our stop loss is break even. We have a failed hammer sell if it breaks the low of this bar. Okay, what do? We raise our trailing stop to here, and in all likelihood, we're going to get stopped out. We are stopped out. So how much did we make here? We made probably about 0.8 R again. We have a trend trade buy setup, which is a hammer candle in an uptrend. We are in a series of higher highs and higher lows. So we go long here and the stop below the bar here. Okay, in period one, we've made 1R. Where do we trail a stop? We can trail a stop here or here. We trail our stop at break even because it's better for us. Trailing at break even is going to make us more money if the stop is hit than if we trail here. Okay. Here we trail a stop up to the low of this bar and we check for a sell setup. Do we have a sell setup? Our open here is 34, our close is 33. We have a gap open sell setup. So we prepare to go short if we break the low of this bar. And we do not. We have an inside bar. Now, like we discussed, we go short on a break of here with a stop loss at the highs, or long here with the stop loss here. Okay, we are short. Did we make 1R? I don't think we do. But let's check. Our stop loss is at 59, 265.59, and our entry price is at 38. It's 31, 38 minus 31 is 7. And no, we haven't made 1R. Do we have a buy setup? The close is 41, the open is 42. We do not. We are stopped out. We have our first 1R loss. we have a fake out sell setup. So we go short on a break of the low of this candle. The close is 65 and the open is 65. We do not have a gap open sell. Luke, to answer your question, yes, we do place the take profit for half when we place the initial order. So we place it as a conditional order. So immediately after the entry order is filled, it places that in the same microsecond. Okay, here we need to check, is this a gap open sell? It's a close of 83 and an open of 82. It's not a gap open sell. So we've missed out on this run up. The close is 96, the open is 96. The open here, you can see, is slightly above the close. Our close is 265.96 and our open, the close is 266.14 and the open is 266.16. So we have a slight gap up that you can just see. And so what we do is we go short on a break of here. Okay, so we are short. We've almost made 1R. Now we've made 1R. We trail our stop to here, and we have a trend trade buy setup if it breaks the high. We have a failed hammer setup to go short if it breaks the low. So we would take an additional position short, even though we're already short. We bank some profit, we would go short again. Okay, we are long. Our stop loss is here. We are stopped out of our short. So we've stopped out of our short for about half an hour on half the position and 1 hour on the rest of the position. So about 0.7 hour. Okay, we are long. It is period 2. We have an inside bar, a double inside bar, which would reset the shot clock on the way down, and we would take this short. It is also a retest variation sell. Okay, period 3, our low is 73 and our low of this bar is 74. So we have not reached to the downside. And this is period 3 of our long trade. So we would exit for our stop losses here, our entry prices here, we're exiting here. So probably about a 0.8 hour loss. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have a retest variation selling play. If we break the low of this candle, we are short with a stop loss here. We are short. Our stop loss is here, period 1. We have a gap open buy. We go long. It's also a fake out buy. We go long if we break the high. We have an inside period short. We have not made 1R on our target, so we would reset the shot clock, and we would take this long and go place our stop loss here. Okay, we are short and we are getting pretty close to making 1R, maybe not quite. I have to work it out exactly. I don't think we've made 1R. We have our shot clock reset, so we're back to 1 period. We have an inside bar. We prepare to take this long if it breaks here, and if it breaks short, we still haven't banked profits, so we can't take the short again, but we will reset the shot clock. If we go long, our stop loss is here. All right. This is obviously the Fed announcement at exactly 2 o'clock. So you can see what's happened is that we've gotten short, probably hit our, definitely hit our target on the 1R short, and then completely reversed. What we should have had is immediately noticed and set that stop to break even. But there's a chance that because this was a Fed day and a Fed announcement, this all could have happened in 2 seconds. So maybe we didn't get that. So worst case scenario, our initial stop loss was hit on half the position and our 1R target was hit on the other, which would make it a break-even trade at best, which would make it a 0.5R trade, a break-even trade at worst, 0.5R trade at best. And we have gone long here, stop loss here, and we've made partial profit about here, moved our stop to break even, and we have a big winner in play here. And our winner keeps going. What we do is we trail our stop to here. I'm just going to finish off this trade because we've done enough of it to see. We trail our stop to here, and we are stopped out of our winning trade. We're long here, stop losses here, stopped out here for a very big winner. Okay, CJ, would you really go this long? And no, I burn out. I personally burn out after 2 hours. Okay, so I think we've given enough demonstration of this system. Let's go back to it. Okay, the full system, it's in the System Building Masterclass. So there's some things to notice about this system. It's obviously a very complicated and difficult system. There's no discretion in the system. It's black and white. It's not like one of these choose the best setup, choose the one that you like, find the chart that you like. You're trading it like a robot. Now, this system is heavily optimized for rising volatility. And if you try and trade this system 24 hours a day, like I had an old mentor that did it, and he just didn't understand that it's only an edge in a very specific volatility environment. And it's absolutely not an edge without that. Now, the way that we tweak it so that it's actually worth trading is that we need times when it's a reliably rising volatility environment. Now, one of the times that we know that on average volatility rises is around the open of any major stock market. So what happens is that the stock market, at the start of any day's trading, there tends to be a lot of excitement. Volatility is a reflection of that excitement. There's a strong statistical tendency for the first couple of hours of trading in any stock market worldwide to be a strong positive edge. This system is not an edge 24 hours a day. It's not an edge in a decreasing volatility environment at all. If you try and trade it in the Asian session in the E-mini, it will absolutely lose your money. Now, there's an CJ, would you recommend the system for a low capital account? Absolutely. And the reason for that is if you are trying to build up a small account into a big account, you have to take more trades. If you're an average of 0.2 or 0.3 expectancy per trade, if you're taking 100 trades a year, that's not going to get you anywhere. You take 100 trades a year, it's going to get you 20% a year. If you want to make 100% a year, you might have to take 500 trades a year, 600 trades a year. And the only way to do that is to trade intraday. So very small accounts are limited. They have to trade intraday because there's no other way to compound up an account. Now, this system is both good and bad. So the system is inherently fragile with so many different setups. So what I mean is that there is an element of luck between the complex interaction between all the different patterns. And luck is bad. Luck generally works against us in trading. So even though the full system makes more money than a partial subset of the system, any subset of the system gives better risk-adjusted returns. So what I mean by that is the inside period is objectively the worst performing setup in the whole system. And yet risk-adjusted, the inside period by itself, without all the other setups, gives a better risk-adjusted return than the full system put together. Now, the full system makes more money, but has bigger drawdowns and has more luck involved. So I have a strong preference for taking a subset of this system. And an example of a subset of the system that works is, for example, the retest family of setups and inside periods and fake outs. That's a nice subset. Another nice subset is retests and gap opens. Luke has a question. What are your position sizing calcs? For intraday trading, about 0.5% is the most appropriate. If you're taking 10 trades a day, if you're taking between 5 and 10 trades a day, and you're risking 1% on each trade, it's too much. You have the capability of wrecking your account in a single day, and you can't do that. if you want to trade higher percentage, like if you want to trade 1%, 1.5% on an intraday system, you have to have maximum daily drawdown limits where you stop trading after, say, 3 consecutive losing trades, or you stop trading after 3-hour drawdown for the day, or things like that. So there's a number of hacks which I talk about in the system building masterclass if you want to trade intraday systems at a higher percentage. Okay, but the system rules are not really the point. And the point is to take hundreds and hundreds of trades until the desire to bend your rules is just beaten out of you. So the point is to just take so many trades that you just don't have the mental energy to jerk off about whether you want the market to go up or down, because we don't know. Luke, yes, it doesn't make, in the real world, it doesn't happen very often, but very rarely you would get to 3 open trades. But even then, it's not really sensible to take 3 open trades. And the point is to get so good at driving what is the trading equivalent of an F1 car that you can drive a taxi in your sleep. Like, this is a high skill system that you would use to compound a small account into a big account and to learn to be an expert trader. So let's take some questions about the system. Before that, the system works in rising volatility environments. And one of the most reliable times for volatility rising is the first few hours of a stock exchange open. And in FX, we also see the same phenomenon before the European market open. So about 8 a.m. European time is a very, very good time to begin trading. Okay, so questions, guys? Questions? Okay, no questions. All right. Well, once you know the full system, you're really just getting started. Like, you could watch this webinar, and if you opened up your trading platform and started trading it today, I absolutely guarantee you're going to make some mistakes. Everyone does. But making any mistakes is completely unacceptable. Okay, let me read these questions. What would you recommend? So this is a system to learn first before anything else. Yes, Nicholas, this is a system that teaches extremely good trading procedure. It teaches best practice trading procedure, and if you can do this, you can do anything. So every other system that I've ever traded for real has been dramatically easier than this. What time frame? We traded on 10-minute charts with SPY, 15-minute charts in FX. I've traded daily charts with E-mini, and I traded it for several years on 6-hour charts, and I've got friends who traded on 8-hour charts. What market instruments are best? It works on pretty much anything with the exception that individual stocks have too much gap risk. So individual stocks you have to trade on a weekly time frame or a monthly time frame. It does not work on individual stocks on an intraday time frame. Brent, it's a lot of brain power in the lower time frames. Yes, it is. It's a very difficult system, and a difficult system to maintain peak performance at. It's an expert system. But for me, I'm at a stage. My accounts have compounded to the stage where I've got absolutely no interest at doing something so complicated and high skill. The other systems that I trade with my accounts are very, very simple in comparison. But hi Philip, is this a good system for Forex? Yes, this was primarily designed for Forex. I would say Forex and index ETFs like the DIA, the SPY, the QQQ, or the E-mini futures, the YN futures, the NQ futures, and the deep and liquid Forex pairs. So only the ones that have liquidity enough that you're not giving away slippage. So you wouldn't be trading, say, the Turkish lira or the NZD CAD. You'd be trading Euro USD, USD JPY, AUD USD, USD CAD, GBP USD, that kind of thing. All right. So once you know the full system, you're really just getting started. So let's look at the stages of competence in learning how to trade. So this is the plan. If you decide you want to, Don, I don't use this system personally anymore, even though I've personally taken probably 5,000 trades with it. I actually got to be a good trader by trading over 5,000 trades with the system. So what I'm recommending is that if you want to be a good trader, this is a really great place to start. And simply because you're making decisions every single bar. So the idea is every single bar you're making decisions. Do I trail the stop? Do I move? Do I get long? Do I get short? And what it does is it just beats the idea out of you that you have to guess market direction. So it is to suit everyone in the long term. Personally, whenever I trade this system, I burn out after about a year of doing it. So, after about a year of trading like a robot, doing everything that I'm supposed to, it just emotionally wears me down. And that's just me. So you need to have a system that suits you. And this system doesn't particularly suit me, but I do recognize that it's a strong edge in the right volatility environment, and it's a wonderful vehicle for learning to trade. It's kind of like a trader's proving ground, yeah. Everyone I know who started on this system has, and quite a few of our traders started on this system, has a base level of competence that is undeniable. Everyone who can trade this system, the Scalping system, the Thor system, the last is goodbye, all the mean reversion systems or the momentum systems, those are all completely trivially easy to trade after you can trade this. If you can do this, you can do anything. So the stages of competence. First of all, we're going to recognize one setup, and we're going to know where to place our orders, our stops, and our targets. Secondly, we're going to recognize the setups and the correct order and the stop and the target placement for the full system. So not just one setup, all of the setups. 3 is we're adding in spreadsheets and record keeping, it sounds like a small thing, but as soon as you add spreadsheets into the mix, your performance will degrade. It does for everyone because it slows everything down. So you adapt for this by trading for less time so that you're still challenged but not completely overwhelmed. So the idea is that you always want to be challenged but not overwhelmed. Okay, after you can do that, okay, Barry Williams has an interesting question. How do you deal with the new information always being generated if trading intraday when there's always a candle forming? With no downtime, does that mess with your ability to execute to your will? Okay, so this is a very important point. You don't even look at the candle until about 30 seconds before the bar roll. So what I do is I don't want to have to be trading with 4 monitors with my spreadsheet on one screen, my trading platform on another screen, and my charts on another screen. I want to look at the chart when the bar rolls over and say, is it a setup, yes or no? And then I want to get those charts off my screen. So staring at charts turns you into an idiot. If you stare at charts for any period of time, you're just going to get incredibly stressed. So to your subconscious, when you look at a chart, it feels like you think you're just looking at a chart, but your subconscious is going, do I get long? Do I get short? Do I get long? Do I get short? Do I get long? Do I get short? And then when it comes time to make a real decision, you're so overwhelmed with making what your subconscious thinks is many, many decisions that usually you make the worst possible decision. And the worst possible decision is always, I'll just give it a bit more time. I'll just see what happens. I'll just give it a little more time. And that never works. So the answer to that question is a setup is only a setup at the end of a bar. And intra-bar means nothing. So the only thing that matters, and often you see a very interesting phenomenon, which is where institutional traders try and fuck with the market right before the close of a candle and try and change the shape of it. So trading the next stage 4, is trading the full system live with the paper trading program of your intended broker. So if you're going to trade with interactive brokers like I do, you're better off using the interactive brokers platform and learning it, because every platform is different, and every platform is different, and you need to learn the one that you're using. Some of the MT4 platforms are really easy to use. Interactive brokers is really hard. So when you start using the paper trading platform of your broker, it introduces time pressure. You have to get a long and a short order placed really quickly, and it's going to involve a number of what we call edge cases or corner cases. So corner cases are things like, I've got a long and a short order. Which one do I place first if I've got limited time? Or perhaps the order filled like 2 seconds after the bar closed, and you should be long. Do you chase the market? Do you work a limit order? Do I just jump in? Do I wait and see if it pulls back? What happens if the market runs away from me? You need to have a procedure for handling that. And it can be extremely confusing being both long and short simultaneously, like really, really confusing. And tie your head in knots, especially if you're long for 80,000 and short for 20,000 or something like that. Excuse me for 1 minute. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute. All right, I'm back. Okay, so after you know the full system, you're really just getting started. So the next stage of competence is trading the full system live with correct FX position sizing. And I like all the traders that I teach to learn some FX trading just for completeness, because FX position sizing is more difficult than futures and stock, and it needs to be learned and you need to understand it. It's just something that if you're going to be a competent trader, you should know. So after you know the full system, the next thing to do is to trade the full system live, but for real money, but for a very short period of time, and do it perfectly. And you shouldn't be trading for a lot of money. You know, for your first real money trading, $1,000 account is perfectly adequate. You can trade micro lots and get the same experience and experience the same thrill of victory and agony of defeat that you can with a $100,000 account. There's no need to jump into the market and lose a lot of money. So the last thing to do is to gradually increase the time spent trading each day, as long as you're perfect. Now, this is one of those situations that near enough isn't good enough. And it's not, oh, you made a mistake. Oh, okay, oh, well. That's not good enough. You know, this mistakes just completely cripple your results here. So you have to be perfect at every stage. If you can only trade 4 bars a day and get those 4 perfect, well, that's what you do. Then you can up it. You know, if you cannot maintain perfect execution, you must drop back to a previous stage. Now, the last stage is that every time you can trade perfectly for a block of trades, I like to increase position size. So let's say you were risking $50 a trade. You go 20 trades with 1 or less mistake. Now, 20 trades with 1 or less mistakes is my benchmark for what a good trader should do. If you can't trade 20 trades with 1 or less mistakes, you're not a good trader and you suck. You need to go back. So everyone has to be clear on that. Any professional trader will make less than 1 mistake per 20 trades. That's the benchmark. You know, if you can't do that, you can't trade. So if you can do that, you can increase your size. So you might go from risking $50 a trade to 100. You might go from 100 to 200. You know, and you might up it to the maximum that you're comfortable with. And the corollary is true. If you can't maintain perfect execution, you drop back. Okay, so what then? You can trade the system perfectly. You've made a bit of money. You know, you're spending a couple hours a day. So if you trade the system inside a couple of months, you're going to have taken 1,000 trades. Like literally, you're going to be 1,000 trades deep. And you know what happens after you've taken 1,000 real world trades? You're an expert trader. Like, that's just the thing. If you've taken 1,000 trades and done them all perfectly, you are an expert. There's no like, maybe I'll be good in a couple of years. In a very short period of time, you'll be really, really good. So what then? Then the real work begins. So I have never seen anyone take any system and trade it as given. Every time I've learned a system off someone, every time someone's learned a system off me, they've always tweaked it and changed it or modified it for what they need. Everyone wants to, and it's best practice to make a few changes, maybe add an indicator or add this, even if it doesn't add anything to the system, so that you feel like it's your system and not my system. You don't want to feel like you're trading Struct system. You want to feel like it's your own system. Like I learned this system off a dude called Ivan. It doesn't feel to me like it's his work anymore. It feels like my work, and maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but it's just what it is. Now, once you have the right to call yourself a truly expert trader, then you need to find a trading system that suits you. Now, Van Tharp taught me this, and it's very good advice. Now, your system needs to suit your market beliefs. If you don't believe in indicators, you're going to have trouble trading a system that's based around indicators. If you believe strongly in Elliott Wave, you're going to have trouble trading a system like this, which doesn't work on prediction. The system needs to achieve your financial goals. If you've got a $10,000 account and you're planning on quitting your job and supporting your family, trading a daily chart pattern system that's going to give you 20 to 30% a good year, wow, it all goes well. You're going to make $2,000 for the year. How are you going to feed your family? It just doesn't make sense. That's not viable. We have to be realistic here. So if your financial goals are compounding a retirement account over the next 30 years, yeah, you can have a system that trades monthly. Yeah, you can have a system that just stands aside for stock bear markets. Yeah, those things are perfectly fine. They're not. So our needs are different. If we're trading for income, we're trading for compounding. If we're trading, everyone's needs are different, and it also needs to fit your lifestyle. There's no point trading this system if you need to be outside your kid's school picking up your kid at 3 p.m. every day. You have to be. There's no point trading a system which needs 3 hours a day of screen time if you've got a 9-to-5 job and you're in the US and you're going to need to be sneaking off to the toilet to place your trades at work. That's not going to work. So whatever system you choose needs to fit your lifestyle, your beliefs, and your financial goals. And so the easy way to do it is to take one of my systems and learn it and then modify it to suit you. Or you can start from scratch using the System Building Masterclass and have me help you build a new system. And I'm delighted to help. People do that. And yes, Brent, you did hear a cat. You heard my cat. So let's recap the stages of competence here. Number 1, learning a system. Number 2, keeping records. Number 3, using a trading platform to place orders. Number 4, dealing with the stress of trading real money. Number 5 is increasing size. And number 6 is the final stage, which is developing a system that we can settle in with and just trade for multiple years, which is where I'm at now. I have some systems that I'm really comfortable with. I've done substantial back tests on them. They take me under 20 minutes a day to execute, and they leave me plenty of time, which is why I run this website now, because my actual trading day doesn't take that long. Okay, let me ask you one more question. Do you need help making this a reality? So I've got 2 options for you here. Number 1 is work through the System Building Masterclass yourself. Everything is there, nothing's left out, the whole system's there, all my systems are there. And option number 2 is if you want to shortcut it, you can have me kick your ass every day until you can do this perfectly, and we can work through this together. So let's get real here. Now, the right mentor has a system for getting the results you want. The right mentor will bust your ass to make sure you take action, and the right mentor will have overcome all the challenges you're going to face so you don't have to struggle to find a solution. Let's get real. If you're not hitting your income goals, there's only 3 possible reasons. And one is that your system sucks. And that's entirely possible because there's a lot of crappy trading systems around. Problem 2 is that you haven't taken action. You've gone to some workshop, you've learned a course, you've bought a system, you've looked at it, you've thought that sounds good, and you haven't taken action. Entirely possible. And problem number 3 is that you've taken action, but you've hit a challenge and stalled out. Now, the right mentor solves all 3. Now, if you can afford it, get someone to help you execute this stuff. And it saved me thousands of hours of dead ends and wasted effort. And it'll save you too. Like if you can, if it makes sense, if it makes sense to get help to do this financially, if you're going to be trading a large account, get my help. So my advice is to find someone with the exact results you want, with a proven track record of getting those same results for others, and hire them to coach you. So I've got a great deal for you today. So if you buy the System Building Masterclass version 2.0, I've got a discount, which we'll discuss in a moment. I've got some bonuses to sweeten the deal. I've got 2 levels of coaching package, a low and a high one available if you need it, and you can try it for a few months free. So these are your coaching options. So option 1 is you can retain me as a mentor. You get 2 months free, and it's $99 a month. You can make video call appointments once a week to ask questions or check in and talk about the next logical step. You can try this for 60 days, and everyone should try it for 60 days if you're buying the System Building Masterclass, just because it's free. And the first 60 days of your learning experience, you want to take advantage of some free help. And if you want to do things in a much more intensive way, so if you're prepared to put in a minimum of an hour to 2 hours a day of learning, and learn hard and fast and really, really dig into this, we have an intensive mentorship group starting March. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about the intensive mentorship group. So would you like to work with me one-on-one to transform your trading? And that's what the intensive mentorship group is. It's for someone who wants a result. And the result that I guarantee that you get is that you'll be a world-class execution trader. You will take hundreds and hundreds of real-world trades, and then you will develop a system that suits you and your goals, and you will backtest the almighty fuck out of it. You will backtest it so much that you'll be sick of backtesting, but you will absolutely know that it's an edge. So the mentorship group is for the person who's really serious about becoming a world-class trader, wants to do it in the shortest possible time. And it's not cheap because it involves hundreds of hours of my time. You know, I'm with the live group a couple of hours every day, but it will save you time and money, and I absolutely guarantee that you'll reach the level of skill needed. And our first intake of the mentorship group, these guys are guns now. They're really good. So what is the intensive mentorship group? It's a 3-month course, and we go longer if needed. The idea is that you get the result. It's not about the time, it's about the result. So you're going to learn every aspect of trading execution, and you're going to design a system that's going to power your trading business for many years. You're going to perform a rigorous backtest and have absolute confidence in your chosen system. So we spend 2 months learning the system that we've just done today using the exact process that we've done today. You spend a lot of time with me one-on-one. We trade together. I watch you trading. Some of you have seen the videos on the YouTube channel of Peter and the other guys trading. And then once you've learned that, then we stop doing that and we build a system that suits you together, and then perform just a massive backtest on it. And that's your real system. So if you buy the System Building Masterclass today, if you later decide to join the mentorship group, you can subtract the money that you paid off the mentorship price. So if that's something that appeals to you at a later date, you can subtract whatever you buy the System Building class for. So if you think that might be for you down the track, it makes sense to buy it now. So I'm going to introduce the System Building Masterclass, which some of you already have. We have over 12 hours of video teaching you how to build and test high expectancy trading systems. It's got all my production trading system rules, all my friends' rules who've shared my systems with me, and easy to follow instructions. It's got a massive library of trading systems of every type. So it's really 3 courses. So part 1 is my complete library of present and historical trading systems, everything I've ever traded, and the systems I currently trade. So it's my library of systems used by other professional traders. So, for example, I've never personally traded momentum, but I've got a library of momentum systems that I know other professionals use. I've never traded stock mean reversion, but I've got a wonderful set of stock mean reversion systems. And number 3 is it's the greatest work ever completed on the science of designing, prototyping, optimizing, testing, and implementing professional grade trading systems. It's the process I use to build new systems. It's the process that everyone in our group uses. It's very step by step. So my personal trading systems are all the trading system rules I use every day. I've got screenshots, I've got black and white rules, I've got spreadsheet examples, I've got everything that you're going to need to get up and running really quick. So these are my personal trading systems. We've got the Crazy Ivan FX system, which we've talked about today. We've got my E-mini daily chart system, which is a variant of that. we've got the Protect R plug-in exit methodology for marginal edges. And what this does is it's an exit methodology which is very good for edges which kind of suck. If you've got an existing system which isn't a particularly good edge, it's actually, it shoehorns it into something really well. And Luke's just said in the chat, I have the system building course, best money I've ever spent for trading education. I spent 30K so far. Luke, thank you very much for saying that, and I really appreciate it. I built this because, frankly, most of the trading education out here is for beginners. Like if you're a beginner trader, there's hundreds and thousands of courses you can take, and most of them suck, but they're okay for beginners. But there's nothing for the expert trader. This course is for the already good trader. It's an expert trader's masterclass. So what else do I have? I've got the mechanical stock momentum system, which is perfect for further modification, for personalization, and I've got deep dive videos on my 3 best ideas for improvement. I've got my Bitcoin and altcoin systems, which only work in a bull market for Bitcoins and altcoins, which we don't have right now. But those markets might bottom out, and then these systems will be amazing. I've got my failed breakout system, which is a fantastic system. Originally, it's a version of something built by a guy called Gabriel, who's an extremely good systematic FX trader, and it works on FX, CFDs, and futures. I've got my own 4-hour pattern-based system, which is a fantastic system. It's my preferred intraday system. I like it a lot. I talk about it in the daily emails. But the Thor trend following daily system, which is a fantastic system within the context of trend following systems. But the Scalping mean reversion system, which is my highest performing system. And I've got my personal long-term trend following future system, which is great. It's got the bulk of my personal wealth in it. So my personal trading systems aren't just a PDF document. It's detailed written and video instructions, spreadsheet templates, deep dive videos, numerous videos of me executing system trades. And it's got the little tips and tricks that you only get after you've traded a system for a long time. And we've got the Scalping core system, which I added for version 2.0. And I've got 2 versions of the system. There's a high win rate, 62% win rate, expectancy 0.4, and there's a lower win rate with a higher expectancy. It's for futures, FX, and CFDs. There's an intraday scalping version as well. It is suitable for automation, and I have automated it. It's 100% rule-based, no discretion, but some people are now trading this with discretion and are getting substantially better results than I get. So there are people who are trading this with discretion, doing better than I am. Brent, how do you trade all these systems at the same time? I don't. I currently trade Scalping. I trade my long-term system, and I trade the last kiss goodbye, and I trade the 4-hour system. So I'm trading 4 systems, and really the only reason that I'm trading the 4-hour system is because I would have felt like a fraud if I was selling the system and not actually trading it. So I trade it for a very small R value. I trade it for like $1,000 an hour. So the 4-hour system I just trade for income. I pay my monthly bills out of that, and the longer term systems are very easy to execute. My longer term trend following systems, you're only executing once a week. So the Thor core trend following system, it's an innovative trend following system which uses the key concept of entry specificity, which I got off Van Tharp, to tweak the win rate of traditional trend following, which is 25 to 35% win rate, up to 50% win rate. It's got a relatively low expectancy and relatively high drawdowns, like all trend following systems. But what it is a very robust edge that's unlikely to go away. So trend following systems they look good from the cheap seats, but trend following systems stay in drawdown for usually over 9 months a year. So you make a lot of money very quickly, and then you slowly give it back for the rest of the year. So they can become emotionally difficult to trade, but the edge actually comes from that emotional difficulty. You're doing the difficult thing that most people don't have the balls to do. So let's look at the failed breakout intraday FX system. This is maybe 40% discretion, 60% rules-based. It's got an expectancy of 0.5. Yes, it really does. A win rate of 60%. It's a very high-performing system. It's a high-skill, high-performing system. It takes entries off 5-minute charts, and it's a simplification of Gabriel Grammatidis' busted breakout system. There was a bunch of stuff in there that I didn't think added to the edge. So we have a mechanical 4-hour system. We have 30% discretion, 70% rules-based, low drawdowns. Expectancy is 0.5, win rate is 60%. Requires checking the markets only 3 to 4 times a day for 5 to 10 minutes each time. It's suitable for FX, futures, and CFDs. And I personally love this system. I trade it every day now. It's perfect for just a regular income generation. Okay, we have my library of professional grade systems, and this isn't a bunch of stuff copied off the internet. The systems in the library are systems which working professionals currently use, and it includes systems currently traded by hedge funds and institutions. Okay, so we've got the volatility breakout system for stocks. We've got an expectancy of 1.0. Now, that expectancy is extremely high. It's got an SQN 2.4. It's got an average of 3.8% per week. This is only for bull markets and stocks, which is why the expectancy is so high. And often stock systems, which take relatively fewer trades, will post extremely high expectancies. So if we look here, the long expectancy is 1. The short expectancy didn't work at all, which is not surprising in a stock bull market. So our standard deviation is 3.0. Our SQN is 2.4, which is excellent. We make an average R per week of 3.8. Good system. So we have the slot-in bear market system. Eventually, the current bull market will end. This is the short system from a hedge fund friend of mine who worked for one of the better long short hedge funds in Japan. It's a legitimately brilliant system for bear markets. So we have the I call it the Shadows of Sakota trend following system. So I spent many years in Ed's trading tribe group, and he's a wonderful man. And his trading tribe group is free, and I recommend it completely for anyone. And Ed is a weird dude. And, you know, someone would ask a question like, what do you think of gold right now? And he'd go, I think it's shiny and it makes like nice jewelry. He's like kind of a dick like that. He was deliberately obtuse and like a pretend guru about his trading rules. So his students there was a lot of serious math dudes, and they used to try and reverse engineer his trend following rules. And we had an email list for people trying to figure them out. And this is as close as we got. And when we modeled it, it mirrors his returns almost exactly. I trade it with my own money. It's surprisingly easy to execute. It works up daily charts, and the positions can be held for 6 months or more. Now, I've got the once-a-month core rebalancing system. This is the system which trades the retirement funds for all the instructors at Van Tharp International. It's a long-only ETF system which executes just once a month, and it's completely mechanical. And it's based on a very sound peer-reviewed portfolio theory. We have the mean reversion cookbook. Now, mean reversion systems for stocks are the low-hanging fruit of system trading. They're very easy to design, very easy to backtest, especially with a bit of software called AmiBroker, which does portfolio-based backtesting. And what I share is a cookbook with every known entry type, exit algo, and universe selection. So they're all very similar, and they all have very similar results. So the ones that take fewer trades have higher win rates. The ones that take more trades have lower win rates. You just whack it all in together like a cookbook, plug it into AmiBroker, and you backtest. And this is really the quickest way to model a high probability system. The mean reversion systems typically have win rates of 65 to 75% with very small wins, and they're emotionally easy to trade, and they trade very small position sizes. So I have an intraday scalping system for stocks, and this is a system that Daniel traded for a long time. It's an intraday system for expert traders. I'm not good enough to trade this. Daniel is a very good intraday scalper. It's an extraordinarily high expectancy of 0.3 for intraday trading, and typically takes 10 to 30 trades per day. It's currently traded by hundreds of professional traders, and it developed through the Van Tharp Super Trader methodology group that I was part of. And this one requires a substantial time investment. You're going to have to spend 1,000 hours learning this one. Daniel loves it. I found it difficult to be consistent. Barry has an interesting question. If you improve a rule-based system by supplementing with discretion, can't those discretionary decisions be codified into rules? Let me give you an example of where that's happening. So one of the things I noticed when I first started trading Thor is that when you started, one of the things we know about trends is that they often end on high volatility. So I used discretion that if you saw big candles around the setup bar after a long run, that you would give yourself the freedom to skip that setup. And skipping those setups was a positive edge. But when I tried to codify that into an exact rule, I struggled. So for certain situations, you can codify discretion into rules. For certain situations, it's kind of like the definition of porn. It's like, how do you define porn, but you know when you see it? So the way that I handle discretion is I have a discretion tab on any system spreadsheet, and I give myself the flexibility to bend the rules a little bit, not taking things that I shouldn't be taking or making up stuff or just I like this and hate that. Just a system isn't a suicide pact. You know, there are times when you see a setup and it technically fits your rules, but you just go, that's terrible. You know, that's terrible. I don't want to take that. And so what I do is I add that to the discretion tab, and then at the end of the month, I total up the discretion and how much money I made or lost from it. And my rule is that if I lost money from discretion this month, then I can't use discretion next month. So what I use is a structured process to keep my discretion from ruining me. So the third part of the system building masterclass is over 12 hours of videos covering every single aspect of building trading systems. So we're talking about designing entry techniques, classifying market type, rapid prototyping, back and forward testing, out of sample testing, designing exit algos, record keeping, scatter plots, conducting regular reviews, pen and paper backtesting without programming, and backtesting with programming. Because a lot of us aren't programmers, I'm not a programmer. Narrowing down the type of system and market you should trade, and I've got a section on low capital systems and their limitations, and systems for cryptocurrencies, which are different because cryptocurrencies have some unusual properties. So the third part of the system building masterclass covers both pure mechanical systems with some discretion and everywhere on that spectrum. So your system doesn't have to be a perfect black and white rule system like I showed you today, and it doesn't have to be like loose guidelines either. It can be somewhere in between, and everyone is going to find that perfect point for them. So it covers systems for FX, futures, ETFs, CFDs, stocks, and crypto. You're going to learn every single aspect of building trading systems with a step-by-step process that anyone can follow. And this is what it looks like. We've got all these sections, there's videos and PDFs and blah, 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 scatter plots. So my favorite part of the masterclass is I've done these deep dive hour-long videos on the most common trading system types. So in all probability, you're going to be building a trend following system, a mean reversion system, a volatility breakout system, a momentum system, or some sort of price pattern system. So I've built all of these, and so I've encountered very specific problems along the way, and the problems that I had to solve are problems that I can shortcut you around. They're like, once you know them, you know the answer. So as well as all this stuff, there's a heap of new stuff which I've added for version 2.0 and a couple of bonuses which are going to help you get much faster results. So this isn't available anywhere else. If you want to learn this privately from me, I charge 10 grand. And it's dramatically more detailed and involved course than Van Tharp's Super Trader course, and which Van's course is very good, but it only covers discretionary systems, doesn't cover pure mechanical at all, because Van doesn't believe in it. So cheaper cookie-cutter courses only cover one aspect of system building. For example, if you just want to design mean reversion stock systems, Cesar Alvarez is the course that you want. It's better than my course in that area, and it's great, and it's expensive. If you just want to design discretionary systems, Van Tharp's course is also great and $60K. If you just want to do mean reversion FX automated systems, my friend Ernest Chan, who's a very good, they call him the Pope of mean reversion. He has a great course for programmers. If you're a programmer, that course is probably a better fit for you if you want to do mean reversion FX systems. Now, if you happen to buy and like the Price Action Masterclass, this course has over 10 times the amount of content, and it builds and expands on that material, showing you how to build high probability trading systems from the principles you already know. So to learn this by trial and error is going to cost you a lot of money, and it's going to take you years and years. That's even if you don't blow up your account along the way like I did. What about the opportunity cost of investing in lesser quality garbage courses? And most of the courses that I've done just get you to beginner level instead of all the way to true expertise. And there's a real risk of getting ripped off by shady get-rich-quick trading coaches or the prediction gurus like the assholes at Elliott Wave. I paid them a heap of money. Like that was a waste of time. So who is this for? This is for someone looking for a set of system rules they can learn and practice right away to get to professional grade as quickly as possible. And this is for someone who already trades with a method they've never been capable of testing. If you're trading with a system, you should, for your own peace of mind, be able to test it. This is for someone who wants to take an existing system and optimize the hell out of it, make it better. This is for someone who's designing a trading system but stuck for ideas. And when you see other people's ideas, see how other people solve the problems, it's going to all fall into place. And this is for someone who has an idea for a trading system but needs help making it into reality. So who is it not for? It's not for traders who just want to get better and better at chart reading. I believe that's a dead end. It's not for traders who want to predict the markets. I also believe that's a dead end. That's for idiots. Not for traders who want to be right all the time. I've lost thousands and thousands of trades in my life. I'll lose thousands. It's not for people who think you can buy the ultimate super system. All systems have pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, and no system is going to work unless it's matched up carefully with the market type. The system I've showed you today in a decreasing volatility environment really sucks. It's only for an increasing volatility environment. So I hope you can see that this is not for everyone, but if it is for you, then it's going to be the best money you ever invested. I base my whole trading business around this process. I've taught other people to do it too. They now have their own successful trading businesses. Now, if all this did was let you make the jump from hobby trader to I make my living from trading the financial markets, would it be worth it? Now, if all this did was stop you from the disaster that happens when we try and do discretionary trading when we're still a novice, would that be worth it? And if all this did was allow you to compound your small account into something decent, would that be worth it? So we've got a bonus for the System Building Masterclass 2.0. We've got the first system that I actually traded that I had a positive year on. So it's very similar to the Crazy Ivan system that I've showed you, but it takes its setups off the actual cash index. And it was the first triple-digit return year I had. Admittedly, I traded with some poor risk management. It's a daily chart system executing once a day based around a market hours edge. We have the standard momentum system version 2.0, which is a fantastic new system. So what we've done is we've taken logical and very small tweaks to our standard momentum model, and we've produced something very, very special. And it performed very well over the last 15 years, but that's because the momentum effect is very strong right now. We've got the NR7 daily chart stock trading system, which a professional trader friend of mine from India did a webinar for us, and it's a fantastic system. It's got full records, and it's an excellent statistically valid edge, which we tested the hell out of, which hundreds of people are trading. It's based on the work of an old trader called Toby Crabell, who was a mentor of Linda Raschke, who some of you may have heard of. So this is the standard momentum system backtest. So it's got a 26.6% compound annual growth rate. It did a max drawdown of 21%. It stays flat during bear markets. That flat period is in 2008, and it did 2006.49% in 15 years, which is amazing, outstanding. I wish I'd been trading it. We've got the 15-minute European pre-market system. This is very similar to what you've seen today. It trades for 2 hours per day. It's 100% mechanical. And we've got my best 3 guesses for long-term systems for capital appreciation over the next 2 decades. Okay, we've got some bonuses. We've got a lifetime access to my practical trading psychology video course. So this is my exact pre-market routine to get into the flow state for trading. And it's about dealing with drawdowns and unpleasant feelings that arise from trading. Now, there's lots of books on trading psychology, and there's some good ones. There's like Steenbarger's book. There's the Trading in the Zone book. Van's got some books. But they talk a lot about the problems, but not really about the solutions. So this one is about the practical solutions. So if you buy the System Building Masterclass, you get 4 15-minute mini consults with me over Skype. We use Zoom now, not over Skype. So you are going to encounter problems and hurdles. And instead of like just blindly working at it for a couple of weeks, you can just jump on for 15 minutes and say, hey, Scott, is this the right way? And you're going, nah, man, do it this way instead. It's going to be better. Or be like, no, man, you skipped a step. You need to do the scatter test. You know, oh, I see what the problem is. I see why your drawdown's so high. You're trading too many instruments, blah, blah, blah. So I've got an automated calendar on Calendly. You can just click a button and you don't have to email me and wait for me to come back. It's all automated. So will this work for you? So if you go through the material and you can't build a trading system that makes money, then here's my guarantee. I spend up to 3 hours of my personal time with you, setting you straight, helping you towards the goal. And if you still cannot build and execute a positive expectancy trading system, I'll refund you in full. After you go through all the material and I spend 3 hours with you, if you still can't make a go of it, well, yeah, I'll give you money back. So I'm sure you'll agree that I could easily charge a fuck ton of money for this. And usually we raise the price every time, but instead of raising it, it's usually $5.99. For the next day, I'm going to give you a 20% discount, $4.79. So that's for the next day only. If you $4.79. This is the cheapest that it'll ever be. You get the benefit of unlimited future upgrades. You get some bonuses. You get live sessions with the mentor group, 20 hours of live calls and work. If you've got the patience to sit through watching other people learn, you're going to get all the little tips and tricks. So you can buy it at scottphillipstraining.com/system-building. So that's scottphillipstraining.com/system-building. Now, if all this did was finally let you get some financial reward for the thousands of hours you've already spent learning this stuff, that'd be worth it. If all this did was cut your trading day down to 20 minutes a day, would that be worth it? So if all this did was let you stop using other people's setups and systems and let you settle down with one system and just stick with it for years. Okay, so before we go, I'd like you to imagine how life will change a year from now after building your own trading system. You're going to have a year of totally professional trading under your belt. You won't care what the market does tomorrow. Your total focus is going to be on trading correctly. You're going to be calmer. You're going to be happier. You'll be doing a fraction of the work and making more money. And this life is sustainable, and this life is for you. So what I really think you should do is buy it now. I want to thank you for your time today. I really think this is a fantastic course. I really wish it was available for me when I was learning. It's priced at an amazing price, and you should buy it. If you're serious about this stuff, you should buy this course. And if you'd like to be part of the mentorship group, shoot me an email at scott@scottphillipstrading, and we'll consider your application. Thank you so much for your time today. Any questions? All right, guys, you should go to that URL and you should buy it.